You know, every once in a while you need to take a break. A break from all the platforming, the bosses, and the insane death traps. It's been 30 plus episodes of Until We Win, and I need to take a break. So, here's the top 10 list. More specifically, the top 10 requested games that just plain suck. So really, this is your top 10 list. Congratulations, guys. As is That Guy with the Glasses contributor, I get a lot of requests. 90% of them are fantastic. In fact, almost all the games on Until We Win wouldn't have happened without your submissions. However, there are some requests that puzzle me, confuse me, make me wish the human race was removed from the face of the earth in some horrific, terribly painful manner. Look, I'm not saying I won't play these games on Until We Win, but I am saying that the people who have requested these games, well, I might hunt you down and beat you to death with your own feet. So, without further padding, here are the top 10 requested games that just plain suck. Number 10, Rocky and Bullwinkle on the NES. Rocky and Bullwinkle was an awesome cartoon with a cast of characters whose voices are still impersonated to this day. This game, on the other hand, has the following: horrible controls, poor platforming puzzles, terrible AI, terrible hit detection, no after-hit invincibility, system-crashing glitches, god-awful sounds, terrible sprites, puke-soaking sawdust horrible backgrounds. This game is unplayable, plain and simple. Actually, I don't think this qualifies as a game. It's more like some high school programmer's attempt at making a game. Everything technically works, but nothing is polished. Jumping is awkward and stiff as hell. Getting rid of enemies on the screen is almost impossible because hit detection is so off it's not even funny. The levels are so poorly designed, I'd be surprised if you can get past the second level. This game, in a nutshell, is complete garbage, and its developers should be shot. Like, come on guys, it's Rocky and Bullwinkle, how do you fuck that up? Number 9, Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure on the NES. Take the concept of Bill and Ted, two dudes traveling through time in a phone booth with George Carlin, and take a dump all over it. The basic concept of the game is to wander around endlessly looping maps to find randomly placed items. That's the entirety of this game. You wander around aimlessly, getting the crap beat out of you, and collect random items until you don't have to anymore. Then you get to go to the year the various items belong to and drop them off. This game is really simple in premise, but so utterly confusing in execution. First off, the controls are whacked. You're in an isometric point of view the entire time, so that means all of the controls you've come to know and love get shifted 45 degrees to the right. The graphics are unbearable. Grass is nothing but flat, bright green, the roads are all splotches of random brown and gray, enemies are blobs of color, Bill and Ted look more distinct, but they sure as hell don't look like Bill and Ted. The one good thing about this game? Well, the bushes look nice. Number 8, Wayne's World on the NES and Super Nintendo. If you've never played a movie-licensed game, then you don't know the atrocities that Hollywood can lay upon the gaming world. Wayne's World for the NES and Super Nintendo are two such atrocities, and I swear the NES game must have been made by the same guys that developed Rocky and Bullwinkle. Both games are platformers, but they're distinct in their own way, kind of like how cat urine has a different odor than a rotting corpse. In the NES version, you take control of both Wayne and Garth as they venture through some crazy levels consisting of music instruments and donuts. Why? Hell if I know. Apparently just to get to the end of the game was the only motivation they put into this one. In the Super Nintendo version, you only need to control Wayne, who's trying to save his buddy Garth. As Wayne, you'll venture through some crazy levels consisting of music instruments and donuts. Yes, the premise is slightly different in each game, but the complaints between both games remain exactly the same. The controls are horrible. I mean, downright impossible to use. The NES version suffers slightly more than the Super Nintendo one, but both of them are just wretched. In the Super Nintendo version, the controls are so loose that you're practically sliding around ice every time you move, while in the NES version, the controls are both loose and tight at the same time. Not only do you slide around because of the momentum you gain, but jumping becomes a chore because of the tightness of the controls. And that's a terrible thing in the platformer. Jumping should never be difficult, but it is. Oh yes, it is. Number 7, Yogi Bear on the Super Nintendo. Growing up, I loved Yogi Bear. All he wanted was some picnic baskets. Now that was either to satiate his hunger or to feed his bastard offspring Boo Boo. In either case, it was a fun cartoon to watch. This game, on the other hand, was a terrible nightmare to play. Much like every other licensed cartoon on the SNES, Yogi Bear should have been aborted in the first trimester and never thought of again. Yes, you play as Yogi Bear. Yes, you're supposed to collect picnic baskets. Yes, the graphics are good. No, the level design and controls are complete ass. I've never beaten the first level of this game. Ever. The level design is very basic but tough to deal with. There are sections of the stage where the floor disintegrates, and if you die, that floor doesn't reappear. So you're screwed. You can't get past some of these sections without the floor being there, but once you cross over it, it disappears. Going back to the beginning here literally means restarting the game. Now that's hardcore. It doesn't help that the controls are utter garbage too. Everything is pretty much normal here, except it all feels wrong. Jumping is ultra stiff, and it's almost impossible to make accurate running jumps without falling off the edge of a cliff. Collecting picnic baskets is counterintuitive too. Instead of just jumping into them, you need to jump on them and bounce around like a lunatic. The bouncing is so off. If you've ever played a game where the bouncing physics are just slightly wrong, that is, they're too loose to control accurately but too tight to maneuver anywhere, then you know exactly what it's like bouncing between the baskets in this one. Speaking of bouncing around, number 6, Pac-in-Time, Super Nintendo. I can't think of a more horrible thing to do to Pac-Man than to put him into a platforming game, and that's exactly what Namco did with Pac-in-Time. There's some story here, but essentially you play as Pac-Man who has to go around levels collecting power pellets. You do this by jumping through hula hoops which grant you powers, like being able to shoot fireballs and swing from ropes. You know, like Pac-Man does. This is by far one of the strangest things Namco has ever done with the Pac-Man franchise. The concept, weird. The gameplay, subpar. The puzzles, average. The graphics, bright and annoying. The controls, not that bad, really. The best part of the game are the controls. They're downright easy to use. Yes, they're very loose at times, especially when jumping, but they're accurate enough to make the game playable. But being playable doesn't make the game entertaining, and this borefest gets old after the first level. Everything is essentially the same. You run through a bunch of hula hoops to get your powers. Use those powers to get it hard to reach power pellets. Get all the pellets in the level, exit the stage. There's almost no variety here. No variety in the puzzles, no variety in the enemies, and no variety in the color scheme. It just puts me to sleep. Number 5, Madden ripoff number 1928, Super Nintendo. Something else that puts me to sleep? Madden ripoff games that license one player's name and then forget to license every other team in the NFL. What deranged teams are New York West and New York East? Since when does New York City operate on the West Coast? That's not the worst part of this game. Oh no, it breaks the one rule that all Madden ripoff games should never break. It changes the controls. Instead of simply pressing the normal buttons you would to pass, this one decided to change everything about the passing system. And after playing it for an hour, I still don't understand it. That's not all though. Handoffs don't happen automatically. Oh no, in this game you've actually got to time your handoff correctly, otherwise you drop the ball. Your offense will literally spend most of the time doing quarterback sneaks because the controls are so wretched. I still don't know why my punter decided he could make a run for it on 4th and 68. Number 4, The Page Master, Super Nintendo. What's worse than a bad movie? How about a bad movie game tie-in? Yes, as if the edutainment pro-reading message of The Page Master wasn't terrible enough, they made an equally horrifying game based on the movie. The Page Master is a game about a little boy in a gray dungeon and he can't get out of it because this game blows chunks. At least, that's what I think the game is about. I can't really tell because I can't get out of the first level, and I don't really want to. The graphics are horrible. Even if this is supposed to be some kind of horrific dungeon, they could have done something to differentiate the enemies from the background. Speaking of enemies, what the hell are these things anyway? Why are they here? Why do they want to kill me? The level design is pretty bad too. Take sprites that are just a wee bit too big and stick them on a screen where you can barely see where you need to go, and the Page Master is hard to even move through. Of course, movement is also hampered by the loose controls. The very loose controls. When you run, you gain so much momentum that you feel like you're never gonna stop. And jumping is so painful to pull off that you're better off just running into the wall the entire time. The Pagemaster isn't the only horrible movie game out there, though. Now, is it? Oh no. Number 3, Back to the Future, NES. I hate this game. Now, the AVGN covered it enough, so I don't really have to get into too much detail here, but suffice to say that this has absolutely nothing to do with Back to the Future. Bees, hula hoops, plate glass windows, bowling balls, and throwing milkshakes at bullies. I have no idea what happened to this game. Hell, I barely even know how to play it. The perspective is so off that it's impossible to jump over anything, and you can never tell just what you're doing. Is bowling ball-headed Marty climbing up the side of a very oddly colored building? I mean, what is this? As far as movie licensed games are concerned, this is the granddaddy of crap. But we still have 2 more stinkers that are actually worse video games than this one. Number 2, Snow White on the Super Nintendo. How do you describe this game? Take a little bit of Rocky and Bullwinkle and mix that with a heavy dose of Wizard of Oz, and you've got yourself Snow White on the Super Nintendo. I don't know who made this. I don't care who made this. This game is horribly, horribly wrong. Yes, you play as Snow White, who throws apples at snakes, climbs up beanstalks, breaks bricks with her apples, and if she falls down too far, she dies in midair. There's no story here either. You're Snow fucking White. Shouldn't you be sleeping in a coffin somewhere? Why are we playing as you? Where's the prince? What about the 7 dwarfs? What's going on? No, there's none of that. All you have are batshit insane snakes and birds trying to kill Snow White as she climbs up beanstalks, falls down, and dies. The premise alone is enough to blow your mind, but the gameplay itself... oh god. Moving around and jumping are both chores in this one. You move very slowly, and jumping is like an art. You can't just jump. First, you have to pray to the voodoo god of jumping, spin around 3 times in your chair, sacrifice a virgin goat, and then bathe in its blood before the game even thinks about letting you jump. In other words, I don't know why this game won't let you jump across gaps sometimes. The controls just lock up and act stupid. Sometimes you can make a jump across a gap, other times Snow White just jumps straight up in the air like you had no momentum behind you. I don't know what's worse, not having momentum when you jump, or the game just outright refusing to acknowledge that you pressed the jump button. Oh yeah, you're gonna die. A lot. I don't get it. Why are the controls so bad? Even Super Mario World, the first game released on the Super Nintendo, had far superior controls than this. What retarded monkey made this? The worst part is that this game is only number 2 on the list. Ah yes, number 1, and I think you all know what game this is. Every single one of you that have requested it. It's Cheetah Men. Fuck this game. Fuck everything about this game. Fuck its premise, fuck its story, fuck its characters, fuck its colors, fuck its level design, fuck its controls, the cartridge it came on, the person that made it. I hate this game, I hate this game, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it! God, I even hate the fact that so many people request it. I hate every single person that requests I play this one. What else can I say about this game that hasn't already been said? I mean, the animations are horrible, the controls are crap, the hitbox is out of control, the level design poorly, there's no life block. Oh, somebody save me from this pile of misery.